The Cameroon's government recent decision to close down unauthorized churches has sparked debate, while others see it as an infringement on religious freedom. Others argue that this move will go a long way to curb the proliferation of unauthorized churches that are fast gaining ground across the nation. Most of these churches seem to have deviated from the core value which they ought to be, the value of preaching Christ and being at the service of humanity. It is disconcerting to note that many churches have become the focus of preaching unorthodox practices, such as the arrangement of miracles and also the arrangement of certain practices that goes beyond and above what the state actually wants. However, the accumulation of wealth has become the order of the day in some of these churches. Most of these churches end up preaching more of money, arrange miracles, arrange some kind of practices just to lure congregants to give them money. In most of these churches, money has become the order of the day and has actually taken the front seat, whereas the vice of preaching Christ has taken the back seat. There is no gainsaying that since the independence of Cameroon and since the launch of multi-party politics and also the launch of freedom of communication and freedom of worship across the nation, many churches that have proliferated, or many of these proliferation of churches, or many of these churches seem to have actually taking a different route rather than what actually is. The contributions are given when these schools are built. These Christians, most of those who cannot afford to pay huge amount of fees, end up not seeing their children see their children to school in these institutions. They will tell you that it is our school, but can you send your child to the same school that you contributed money? Of course, no. Hospitals, the same thing. You contribute money to hospitals, and you see that most of these hospitals end up putting exorbitant fee for their consultation, treatment, to the same Christians who contributed money to build those hospitals. It is high time for Cameroon government not only to focus on unauthorized churches, but the Cameroon's government needs to come and look at some of the authorized churches and some of the practices that are being done in these authorized churches, such that accountability will be given. Christ preached humility, forgiveness, and also Christ preached tolerance, passion. But if you look at some of these authorized churches also, you will be tempted to ask if humility, forgiveness, and tolerance, and also charitable, is part of their mission and vision. Why? Many see the decision as a welcoming move to actually curb religious proliferation and also to curb the aspect of having charlatans in the field. It is also a wake-up call for Cameroon government to see that they have the right to protect lives and property, not just lives and property within the government sector, but also within the religious sector that many cry on a daily basis, in which they are being actually exploited in different means, exploited by giving charity to the church, and yet the church end up not taking care of these same people. We should not just focus on unauthorized churches, but the government of Cameroon should also focus on the authorized churches. The authorized churches sometimes they carry out fundraising activities that cannot be accounted for. They carry out money-making activities that cannot be with you, and have been around you, Mr. Nyam, Robert, and your wife. I also want to wish happy Sunday to you, Mr. Joe from the United States of America. Pa Joe, happy Sunday to you. Pa Joe and your entire family in DC. Happy Sunday to you, and happy Sunday to all those of you watching us on the different parts of the world. Happy Sunday to you, and those of you celebrating your birthday. I want to wish you happy birthday. To all those of you celebrating your birthday yesterday, happy birthday to you, and God should continue to guide and protect you and bless you all. Joshua Nambagi Oshi has been voted as the flag bearer of the Social Democratic Front, the party which has now presented its candidate ready for the 2025 October presidential election. This was during a convention that took place in Yaoundé, and this convention brought together different political stakeholders, including those who have actually announced their bid for the 2025 presidential election. Some other political
Media Prime, who are based in Boyo Division, especially in Ginicam. It's always a pleasure to be on the platform.
I begin with you by looking at the just ended SDF's convention on what is trending as far as what trended during the week. The just ended convention, Joshua Nambagi Oshie has been voted as a flag bearer for the Social Democratic Front. Your reaction?
I'm not a member of the SDF. They know what transpired between them. They have trusted and given the baton to Honorable Joshua Oshie. It is his place, according to the party principles, rules, and regulation, to bear the flag. But I think that talking about a particular opposition party in Cameroon now is not really important for me, because the opposition's parties have proven to be a failure. From what we see, they are not ready for 2025.
Okay, and also we look at also what is trending, what's trended within the week. What trended within the week was the issue that many have been talking about as far as Cameroon, the just ended Mount Cameroon race is concerned. We were at the Mount Cameroon race that took place last week, and many are saying that it is a race that a lot of things need to be done as far as internationalizing the race. You watched the race. Probably you have any reaction as far as the race was concerned?
Well, from time to time, you know that most countries after a race they improve, but with Cameroon, you realize that every other year the arrangement gets a little more not as good as it was. But I think Cameroon is at a level of improvement, and internationalizing the race is very important. It's of utmost importance to Cameroonians and the Cameroon government at large, because once people start leaving other countries during the marathon to come in, they will definitely pump in a lot of money into the economy through guest house, feeding, tourism, and other things. And the Mount Cameroon race, of course, has existed for a long time. That, even as we talk, it is internationalized already, because we have had, I'm sure we saw somebody from
yes, but many are asking the question, how internationalization is the race when they look at the content.
That is where we need experts to come in to make the race. When you talk about internationalizing the race, it goes with funding, it goes with cash prize, it goes with, because you understand the logistics that somebody will need to leave out of the country to come perform here. But all the same, it will be at the advantage of those organizers to make it international, and then use the mountain race to get more beautiful image about the country Cameroon.
Lastly, the chiefs within the chief from the Southwest region, as well as others, have been calling for President Paul Biya to stand. We just look at the Southwest region call on President Paul, appeal that President Biya should come and launch his campaign within the Southwest. And also in Donga Mantum, we've had some of the chiefs also calling for the President of the Republic to stand again. Your reaction?
Javis, most people who are calling for Mr. Biya to run again, I want to say, if at 92 you don't run, at 92 we rest, at 92 we walk, at 92 we consult. So those who are calling on Mr. Biya to run again, it may appear to them like they have love for fatherland, but I think they are gradually practicing what we call euthanasia. They want to mercifully kill the president, who should have honorably retired and stay back to consult those who need to take power and continue. Leadership is like a baton. You relay a relay race. You run, you reach a particular level, you give the baton for another person to. But if you feel like you want to carry the country, I don't want to think that the only person who can save Cameroon from sinking is Mr. Biya, who has been in power for 42 years and has served Cameroonian with the greater part of his life, over 65 years or more. He has been in the government. So those chiefs, first of all, I think that chieftaincies and fiefdoms should be apolitical, open to receive everybody. To think that they are protecting their paychecks and calling on Mr. Biya to run again as president because he has the panacea to solve Cameroon's problem. Why others see that it's good for them, they have their right to express their opinion, but publicly calling media houses and expressing their opinion is already a breach, because chiefs are supposed to be, to the best of our knowledge, custodians of the tradition, and the chiefs too should have a palace that is open to receive everybody, different political parties. Imagine that I have to live here. If a SDF representative have to live here to enter the palace of a chief who has openly stood in front of the cameras to say that my support is with Mr. Biya, it means you're already telling the chief that coming to my palace is of no use. But nonetheless, we need to tell Cameroonians that each chief has a vote. Cameroonians have more votes than a chief. If we count all the chiefs and we massively register, the chiefs will make their call. If their call is okay, then the ballot box will prove that truly they made a good choice, although without the efficiency of the ballot box. But if Cameroonians sit and they get discouraged, let us vote. And that's where I encourage Cameroonians. This is the highest time that Cameroonians are talking about elections, and we encourage Cameroonians to get their voters card. Those who think that elections will be rigged, it is true that we have a rigging machine in Cameroon, and it's also true that we have a very disappointing opposition, and it's discouraging a lot of people to vote. But my advice is this: get the cards first. When the time will come, we will know who to vote. And if you don't get the card thinking that you don't know who to vote, the time might come and miraculously we get a candidate to vote and you will not have the card. So better secure the card, keep it with you, because as it stands now, we don't know who we are going to vote, but certainly we know who we will not vote.
Nick Anu, your reaction? They just ended SF convention. Joshua Osi has been given a mantle or the baton of power to lead the party for the October 7th presidential election.
Yeah, it is just, but normal, it is just a democratic process that happens within the SDF and in every election year. And if they have so decided to confer their confidence on Mr. Joshua Osi, it is but normal that they do what they think is right for their party or in terms of preparation for the upcoming presidential election. Yeah, but looking at in a global perspective about the opposition party in Cameroon, we look at it from our own point of view, like the point of view of our civil society that most of us are in. We think that they can do better, and not this issue of a one-man show. And the SDF has been there for many years, and they have fought a good fight in terms of the democratic process of Cameroon. And what they did in the 90s, and like bringing other political parties to form a coalition, Union for Change, that saw, in quote and unquote, the supposed victory of Nijon Fundi. We of the civil society are expecting that kind of scenario in 2025 for Cameroon, and we expect those old political parties to like champion that kind of cause for there to be a meaningful coalition. Anything short of that will be difficult to win any presidential election in Cameroon. Of course, we have been keen observers of how the political system in Cameroon evolves or how it functions. It is difficult for at least the opposition or the so-called opposition party should show interest that they are not being or vying for political posts for their own personal benefits or interests. If you want to be president for Cameroon and not for your party or for your family, you will be able to like easily give up a particular position, maybe for others. I'm talking, for example, in terms of a coalition candidate. If you are really for the Cameroonian people, you should giving up your party position as a presidential candidate, maybe for a more better person who can lead a coalition, should be your utmost interest, and not just the issue of like saying that you just want to be a presidential candidate. To my judgment, I think that most of those who want to be presidential candidates in Cameroon just want to add to their CV, stemming from individual candidates to political parties.
We'll look into that, because that's the topic. Now, your second reaction, they just ended Mount Cameroon Race of Hope.
Yeah, I think the issue of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope is revolves around funding. To me, the race is underfunded. If you look at the cash price of the first runner up, the winner for the male and the female category, just about 10 million for, I think so. I think that money is too small. If you want to really internationalize the race, you have to like raise funding. Then those who are in charge of the Cameroon Athletics Federation, I think they're in charge of that race, of managing that race. They should be able to, I don't know how much percentage the government gives in for that, and then couple with the partners that sponsor the race, like MTN and the rest. They should be able to bring in more partners, more international partners to come in and fund the race, so that they can bring in that attraction. And it should be, a mountain race is just like a kind of cultural jamboree that during the mountain race, not only the Ministry of Sport and the rest they should work in collaboration with Ministry of Culture, so that during the mountain race, it's not just about running, it's about showcasing the culture and the rest.
Quick reaction for the Southwest Chiefs. You are from the Southwest, and also the Northwest. Some others have been calling, like in Dongamantun, that the president, they had their elective General Assembly on that Saturday, last week Saturday, not this Saturday that just passed. They're appealing that the head of state should launch his campaign in the Southwest region.
Of course, we cannot really like saying that this, our so-called traditional rulers, being political actors, is something that's uncalled for.
When you say so-called, what do you mean?
Yeah, because people who are supposed to really be custodians of traditions should not be talking about politics. They should be like a neutral body, or like advisors to both the electorate and the political leaders. They should not be partisan in a normal situation. The fact that the government maybe gives some allowances to traditional rulers doesn't mean that they are supposed to support the government in a political process. It's not true. It is maybe by constitution, it's their constitutional right that the government gives them support, because they are collaborators. I hear people say they are subordinates to maybe administrative officer. It is not true. They are supposed to be collaborators, because the traditional institution precedes the state. The state only came later on to meet traditional institutions, and so they are supposed to be collaborators. Even though we collectively as a country have ceded our civic responsibility to the state to take care of us in a kind of democratic process, it doesn't demean the fact that the traditional institutions are supposed to be like a strong institution that are supposed to stand for justice, are supposed to stand for peace, they are supposed to stand for tranquility. They are not supposed to be partisan in any way. The fact that a chief, in his individual capacity as a chief, as an individual, not has a right to vote for whosoever he votes, but speaking publicly, a traditional ruler has also declared that he is for this political party or for not. If they have been doing so for over the years due to the manipulation from the government, it is not right. The fact that something has been wrong for many years doesn't make it right. Our traditional rulers should be able to be neutral when it comes to political or supporting political parties. There should be institutions where each political party can run to them for advice, for guidance and rest. Because when you become partisan, you no longer enjoy the protections of the gods or whatever the traditional power that you are supposed to incarnate. You don't longer enjoy all of this protection, because our African traditional societies are things that stand for justice. When you begin to discriminate among your population as a ruler, as a leader, you are no longer just, meaning that those traditional values don't longer back you.
Okay. I don't know how you measure that. That if a leader declares the traditional ruler actually go political, I don't know how you measure that the gods are not with them. Are you with the gods?
No, even if we are not with the God, but we know how the gods function, or how our traditional institutions are supposed to function.
Quick reaction on what is trending. Joshua Nambagosi has taken the command baton as SDF flagship for the flag bearer for the 2025 presidential election. What should we be expecting?
We should be expecting a new political atmosphere, even though it is already late. The time that political parties are declaring their candidature, we are already in an election year. We at this time, it's possible for Cameroonians to make a mistake by choosing a wrong leader. Because according to me, I don't know, our law guides the time for declaration. Maybe I don't know whether there are laws that guide, because I have feelings that it is late for political parties.
7 months, we are talking about April, May, June, July, August.
I have feelings that this time of declaring a political candidate, according to me, I have feeling that it is late, because normally when we talk about presidential election, it is about individual and not party. The party plays a role, but presidential election is individual. Why am I saying individual? You can be in a political party and you vote the candidate of the other party because it's somebody personally you study the person, you know what he can do. So that's why it is advisable, it is good to declare their candidate and give a long time for people to follow up their campaign and know who they are before choosing their leader. But according to it, I don't know whether it is the law, but you notice that almost all the parties are declaring at around the same time. So
yeah, the law gives 2 weeks, just 2 weeks for campaigns. The law gives 2 weeks for campaign. That's before the October 7th election. And also now declaration, they have 7 months. Is that enough?
7 months to 7 months. Okay, for declaring 7 months. We are talking about presidential election. It's not. We are not talking about municipal election where somebody we are talking about a president. A president should be, at least according to me, it's supposed to be more than 1 year. Even we are supposed to know, because what Cameroon has gone through, we need to be awake. We are supposed to be very wise now. Okay. We should not just get up, because some of these people who are preaching, who are talking, giving good programs now, we can mistakenly vote somebody whom we will regret at the end. So that's why I'm saying it's my point of view. I don't know how the others will see it. So the SDF, they choose their candidate, Joshua Osi. I follow up. We are waiting for what they are going to produce.
Briefly now on the issue of the chiefs.
Javis, that point like that, we have been used to this kind of altitude. Cameroon being under one leadership for 42 years, sometimes citizens are like they are inside maybe like in a fence. There is something, you notice that all the chiefs are militants of the ruling party.
No,
they speak.
All the chiefs,
they are speaking under the canopy of the ruling party.
Say all the chiefs, there are some chiefs that are not members.
Because I know about a chief who resisted the ruling party.
All the chiefs,
but the political atmosphere, it is it makes it that if you do it makes it things rough for any leader who don't want to be the militant of the ruling party. So I'm saying that what their declaration, I don't doubt. In Cameroon today, there are certain situations that when people begin to make declaration and you don't make it, you are considered as an opposition. When chaos and attract the attention of the head of state. For example, we saw a chief in Limbe who came out and ordered the late chairman of SDF to bring back the symbolic key that was handed to him by their president, the president of their union. He ordered from that he should bring, he is not welcome in Limbe. Some years behind, the phone of Bali, I mean Bali Nyonga, he passed a communique declaring that he does not want to see Frundi to step in his area of jurisdiction to carry out a campaign. There are some of them go as far as tormenting their subjects who are militants of the opposition party. So all those things is to create an atmosphere that will attract the attention of the head of state. All those motions we are seeing like that, they will continue. It now achieved very soon. The other groups will continue. We have been seeing it every time, so it's not a.
So, Derek, topic of the day: rise of independent candidates. Can they emerge victorious amid a deeply divided opposition? Historically, this is a time that we are hearing more about independent candidates. Is this a proof that the opposition parties have failed, that the people are tired of party politics?
Thank you very much, Javis. I have said repeatedly in some of my social media posts that the enemy we have in this country right now is not the CPDM party, but it is the divided opposition party. And statistics have proven in sister media house and even on your platform that if you put an SDF militant over there and an MRC militant over here, for them to talk about politics and policies that can govern and change Cameroon, they will look at each other eyeball to eyeball and insult themselves, rather than talking about the failures of the system and what they can do to change the status quo. They'll be telling you about my president is this, my president is this party has done that, this party has not done that. So it becomes pathetic because we feel like among the opposition, although there are satellite CPDM, that's where we see the opposition more like, we see a lot of satellite party. If among themselves, or the few who think that they trust, there is no trust within themselves, we start asking, if they cannot manage, if let's say SDF, MRC, PAP, PCRN, which is already a wing of whatever, and other political parties.
What do you mean by a wing over there?
And other political parties, if they cannot manage their differences at this level, are you sure that they are willing to take over power to manage the differences of this nation? That's where we have a problem. So I feel the rise of the independent candidate is a proof enough that opposition is failing, but it is not a guarantee that they will win or they will go anywhere far, because you don't just come out from the blues and then you get through. To beat a system that has a 6 decades grip, to beat that kind of system, it takes unity. And we are told in African proverbs that the strength of the broom is in its numbers. We have had, as it stands now, we have like 4 independent candidates that are
Reverend Dr. Apostle Ambi.
Yes.
You have Dr. Barrister Asong
Akumba.
You have also Madame Carol Biakop.
Yeah.
Madame Carol Biakop. Then before you start, I'm sure those are the for now.
Yes, you have a lot of them. But the issue is, what do they think they can bring as change as individuals? Because the CPDM that has grabbed the nation for 42 years counting, you bear with me and believe that the CPDM has representative over the 360 plus areas in Cameroon. And if they have representation, let's assume that SDF, although they have loose grip in the southwest, let's assume that there was supposed to be a coalition, and SDF that has a grip in the northwest and partially southwest, they come together, join with MRC, that I think that even in the littoral, they have a grip, and in the west region, they could, yes, and some part of center, they could have a grip. And then PAP, it's more of, they have a little grip in some places in the southwest region, and then you have other political parties,
the
UDC, UPC, and all that. We take that little by little grip and assemble this weight behind a single candidate. And let's say SDF go back to the Northwest, we want the Northwest for this candidate. I'm telling you that the selfishness level is that bad that we feel like the only way we can serve this country is serving the country as the president of this country. And it is that bad because, see, Javis, I feel and I think that if we had 10 genuine political parties, 10, and they find a single candidate put in front and everybody weighs behind this candidate, even if they take over power and they share the ministry among the 10 of them, they implement the best of their vision in those ministries, in those departments, this country will become better. But the selfishness, the rise in independent candidate only shows that there's a lot of selfishness in the opposition. And secondly, the independent candidates, I'm not writing down anybody, they are not going to be the panacea. The panacea of this country is a united front to kick out a rotten system. But if you think as an individual, no matter how skilled and intelligent you are, if you think you can kick out a system that has a grip, it's a fallacy.
Okay, Nick Anu, the deeply divided opposition party. Is this the reason why we are seeing many independent people coming out?
Yeah, it may be one of the reasons, but not totally the reason for the rise of independent candidates. Yeah, when you look at the independent candidate, they are mostly like young people who have declared openly to run for presidential elections. And yeah, even though there are some other people like I've forgotten the name, but
you have Barrister Cameroon of the Now movement.
Yeah, I think he has another a few political coalition behind him.
He has the UV party, he has the PAP party, and a faction of the UPC party.
Yes,
as well as some civil society groups that have actually endorsed him.
Yeah.
Then you have Apostle Ambi Valentine Gua, you have Dr. Asong Michael, Dr. Asong Michael, you have Madame Karen Biako.
Yeah, I don't want to even dwell more of independent candidates. Most of them, to me, is just like a far-fetched dream. Most of them cannot do anything within the political. I don't think most of them really understand the political landscape of Cameroon to like say you want to be president of Cameroon as an independent candidate. It is a very far-fetched dream that is very difficult to realize. Yeah, not to discourage them. They have their rights. They have the right to declare to want to be president of Cameroon. But to me, I don't think that saving the nation of Cameroon is just being president of Cameroon. You can save the nation in many other capacities, especially when it comes to politics.
Saving the nation in the other capacities now.
Yeah, which we have not been seen. At least we have to see and feel their presence. We don't want to see the work of independent candidates all on social media and so on and so forth. You have to, politics is on the terrain. You have to see what they do on the terrain and so on and so forth. It's not just about declaring that you want to be president and then coming up with some very nice things that you want to do and the rest. You need people to of course, for now, we don't even know whether the ELECAM will accept their candidacy. For now, they are just declared. They have not been endorsed by the Electoral Commission. So at the end of the day, many of them may still be rejected, and so on and so forth. So we are not discouraging them. We are saying that all those who want to be a presidential candidate from the opposition, be it independent candidate or be it political parties, the language should be that of a coalition. They come together. I'm ashamed of some political actors. I'm talking, for example, like the political actor like Cameroon. I'll call his name because at his age, with his wisdom, he should the kind of coalition he's talking about, I was expecting him to like promote maybe other younger political candidates to like it would have been for him to like play the role of trying to bring the SDF, the MRC and the rest. Not him as an individual wanting to be president.
No, but he has, it is within the age limit, within the age.
I'm not refusing that. It is his constitutional right to be president of Cameroon. I'm not refusing that fact. I'm talking of in terms of the moral conscience of wanting to change Cameroon.
But that's why a while ago you said that we have not seen what the other people have been doing, and they're the ones to become president. But I'm not supporting Akere, but I'm just going by what you said. But with Barrister Keremuna, Senior Barrister Keremuna, you could see that he has had a track record of doing things that we have been seeing. Top of it is Glencore.
We're not refusing.
2018 election, he was the first to call for a coalition, and actually went and accepted to endorse Professor Maurice Kamto. This time around, you are saying that he should not be, that he's not old. As
I'm not contesting his age. I'm contesting the fact that he ran for the last presidential election, and then at the end of the day, he gave his support to the MRC, the MRC party. I'm saying that I'm talking about wanting a change, because Cameroon of 2025 is not 2018. We are at a crossroad of our history, that it is either there's a kind of transition for the progress of Cameroon, or there will be an implosion for this nation, which we don't pray for. And it is in the best interest of political actors, those who really want the interest, or who have the interest of Cameroonians at heart and want to see a meaningful change, they should play roles that will enable a political transition, not around them. If they know that they can do something, like to bring a coalition of opposition party, because at the end of the day, what I look at around those simple or small political parties that have rallied behind Akere Muna, they are nowhere to be found in the political terrain.
When you say nowhere to be found?
They're nowhere to be found in the political terrain, and to me, they just want to give a semblance of a kind of somebody want to work for a coalition.
It's a big party, sir.
We're not refusing that.
For example, Univer has councillors. What you say nowhere to be found is like we are watching down like we are watching down their effort. Univer has councillors. You have a faction of the UPC.
I'm looking at
like some Derek said, PAP has a good number of following within some particular areas. They have good numbers. We cannot actually just water down their initiative. Also, they are backed by some civil society organizations.
We are not refusing.
So backing, just watering it down is like
we are judging from the selfishness. I'm judging them from the point of selfishness.
How do you measure the selfishness? How do you measure selfishness now?
Somebody who wants to really be a presidential candidate, want to save Cameroon, as most of them are appearing to be saviors, they should give a kind of understanding or kind of atmosphere that they are for a coalition, that being a presidential candidate is not so, to them should be like the last option. It should be the last option for themselves to be candidates.
Where he said he's going to be a transitional president to stabilize the nation, and then organize probably an election within the system that will. Now you are saying talking about the issue of selfishness. Is it not the same Barrister Keremuna that called for coalition in 2018 and tried to unify all the parties and decided to drop? While we were calling for a coalition, he decided to drop that. Let us rally behind this candidate and see how. Whereas all the others that you have not called them selfish, all the others decided now they will run solo, and they are still running for this election solo.
So at this moment, I will have expected to see an intensification of that kind of core with maybe the MRC, for example. He supported the MRC. Maybe at this moment, he will have. We're expecting to see more of that support, calling for a coalition candidate, and maybe if you want to like call for a coalition opposition party, the first thing is that first of all declare that you don't want to even be a candidate. At least within the coalition, they should like forcibly choose to. But the intention should be that you don't want to be candidate, but you want us to come together and bring out somebody who can face the CPDM and bring a meaningful change to Cameroon, and not maybe bringing everything around yourself and the rest. The opposition in Cameroon, most of them are selfish. We're not refusing that fact. But some other, there are key major opposition parties. No, it's just an example for me. I'm talking. There are other opposition parties like the MRC, the SDF, and the party of Cabral B, where we don't even know whether they are going to run or not. Yes. So these political parties, three of them, if they drop their selfishness, Maurice Kamto, Cabral B, SDF, the Joshua Osi, if these three key political, because these are on the terrain, these are the people who have a grip of the terrain when it comes to the opposition parties in Cameroon. If most of these three people can drop their greed, okay, and then come out just bring out a kind of formula where a political coalition can come out from these three political parties. It is very possible.
It was not possible for 2018, and the same Akeleda called them in 2018.
It is very possible.
They refused.
It is very possible if they drop their greed. That's what I'm saying.
What your reaction?
Yes, my reaction, I will start from the independent candidates. You know, there is these independent candidates have been critics. Some of them have criticized these political parties that we are talking about now. I believe that they are going in to correct those mistakes that opposition parties have been making. And then now, and one of those mistakes that I would like to point out is, we before coming together, making friendship with somebody, you have to understand that that person has he has mistakes. It means that he has a negative side and the positive side. You have to accept it before coming together with that person. We mean that what the character that is happening, which you don't like, sometimes you can tolerate or you try to change it. So those are some of the things that they should correct, because political parties, just like Derek said from here, they are good in pointing out the mistakes of the other political parties, and then even forget to give the promises, the program that Cameroonians expect from them. If you bear with me that the two regimes that have ruled Cameroon since independence, they have been using this misunderstanding among political parties to be in power, and if sometimes dictate on them. I'm talking. Let me start from the period of President Leda Ahijo. You quite remember that when he wanted to create a one-party system, one of the reasons that they focused on the Anglophone regions, North and South, one of the reasons that they gave was that some of our politicians, as he's saying it now, that he came in because the political parties were disunited. There was infighting, so he used it now to merge Cameroon into one party system, which at the end Cameroonians did not like it anymore. But now to withdraw from it was not possible. I was thinking that politicians today will learn a lesson from what happened in the Ahijo region, and they correct those mistakes now. Those of us, those parties that are existing are in the same, they are behaving the same. So I'm expecting those individual candidates that if they can go into the field, just like Nick said from there, individually we expect there's a lot to be done. But what we expect from them is, if they can succeed to talk to some of these parties for them to understand themselves and form a reasonable coalition that we expect, and then where there will also be a transparent election. That's one thing that we should not leave out. Then and then you among the opposition parties, there is also jealousy. And this jealousy, sometimes they attack even the party that comes second after the ruling party. They always attack even more than other political parties, in which all of us, we know that all parties cannot be the same. After the ruling party, there must be a party according to the percentages from the election result. It's always like that. You notice that after the ruling party, the party that comes first, sometime for many years, SDF has always been the second party after the ruling party. Then came CRM just some years ago. You notice that when a party becomes the first opposition party in Cameroon, it started receiving attack from other political parties. There's always this statement saying that this party is maybe they are eating from the same dish with the ruling party. It means that in Cameroon, they are saying that if you work hard, if a party work hard right to the level, even trying to challenge the ruling party, because of the percentage that the party will have, it will be like you are eating from the same dish with the ruling party. Those are some kind of mentality that kill the opposition a fear and then make the Cameroonians disappointed. We expect a different mentality from with the presence of the independent candidates.
So, Derek, you wanted to react when Nick was actually noting the fact that Akere and others probably would have given a chance for some other person. Now, now, my question now to you is that when we look at the landscape very well, do you think that the independent candidates shouldn't we now focus on the independent candidates to form a coalition in such a way? Because if the opposition parties have refused to form a coalition, because it's the people that vote a candidate, not a party that actually voted, it's the people that makes a party.
Of course, the electorate, where the only place where I do not so much agree with maybe Mr. Nick is at the level of maybe pinpointing an individual person like Barrister Akere Muna. We understand his impact, and he's a credible soul.
And his fight for corruption.
Yes, and his fight for corruption, which is one of the canker worms and palmer worms that is eating deep in the fabric of Cameroon's society. He has, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's fine. Yes. So I think that, well, Javis, I have followed a lot of TV debates where, when you talk about opposition coming together and forming a coalition, a lot of militants from different political parties will tell us that we are not politicians. We say it because we don't know how it is. We say it because we are not into politics. We say it because that they give you a lot of reasons. Yeah, we are not in the party. They give us a lot of reasons, and every day the population is calling, and I keep asking myself, is the opposition for the people, or the opposition is for themselves? What do you do in politics? You take an opportunity, because the call for coalition is not an independent, it is the population that is calling. It is the electorate.
You read messages, it is 70 or 80% will talk about coalition.
It is the electorate. It is those people who put you there. They are hungry, they are thirsty for that coalition. If the people, because if you read messages coming, you see a lot of people, why not form,
yes,
why
coalition.
not form, why not form? And when we sit on the platform, we are talking from the civil society perspective. They feel like, because we are not politicians, we don't understand the heat that they go through. We don't understand the tension between them. And if we feel and see that there is tension between them, they cannot form a coalition. How come, Javis, let's do the mathematics. In 2018, I don't know if my memory does not play tricks on me, there were 22 political parties or so that went in for presidential election before some gave in and gave in their votes to others. Imagine, out of the 22 political parties, one out of the 22 had 79%, and the 21 others had to share 21% of votes.
The closest was 14.
The closest was 14. Then you still stand. I followed the president of a political party that I know that he's the only militant of his political party that I've ever seen on any platform on a TV say that he's going to beat Mr. Biya hands down in the elections. And I said, but how come we are this selfish? It's good to dream big. Motivation speaker says, if your dream does not frighten you, then you are not dreaming. Perhaps they want to dream something that will frighten them. If out of 22 political parties for presidential elections, one can have 79% and 21 others are sharing 21%, 7 years after, we still feel like,
and Cameroon was not that too divided now.
yes, we still feel like we can stand as independent candidate to beat this giant. It's a joke. It's a big joke. And I feel like,
is it not because they are looking at the frustration that they have waited for parties, but the people who are voting want new faces.
Truth be told, you know, when the bishop who got frustrated or infuriated out of frustration, and he was very sarcastic that whether it is the devil, let him come. We will compare from there. It shows how frustrated the people are. Mr. Javis, I want to tell you that I have, for the past months, used a lot of energy begging people without voters' cards to go and register. I have paid transport for people who feel like it's going to take their time to go and register. But you know, after the registration, you know, the other day when I don't know whether it was PCRN and some few political parties went to see the Minister of Territorial Administration to say the way in behind the CPDM. I saw people talking and they were frustrated.
The other faction,
then the question, the other faction, one or whatever the case. But Javis, imagine you are playing a game, you are winning 79 goals, and you are still forming a coalition. Those who have 21, they just feel like, no, we will equalize individually as a person. It is not rational. It is not intelligent enough to think that a system that has a grip, all government offices, somebody will leave his ministry to go and campaign in the north, in the village, leave, and we will be paid for that. The people still form a coalition to be stronger. You, who has not seen the light of the day, you, who has never campaigned in a political, in any presidential election, you, who after elections of 2018 you had 0.00000001 as a percentage out of 100, you feel like in the morning, one early morning, because Cameroonians are thirsty for change, you just declare your candidacy and Cameroonians will give their vote. That's not how it happens. It does not happen that way. Although we know, and statistics from what I have read shows that a lot of Cameroonians are hungry to vote. A lot of Cameroonians are registering to vote. But for these votes to be protected, there should be a coalition, because like I said, if MRC comes and they have a grip in the littoral, they have a grip in the west, they are going to have people who will vote, and not only vote but will defend the vote. And then if the PAP comes in, where they have a grip, they will have people of integrity, people who have honesty, who will vote, and not only vote but will defend their vote. The SDF, wherever they have a grip, they will select those who have integrity. They will vote and defend the vote.
And you know, waste resources, because you don't have to pay people.
Cameroonians are willing to sacrifice for as low as 0 francs to make sure that their votes count. But who will the vote be counting for if those who do not have even 0.001 of the electorate still feel like they want to be presidential candidate and they want to beat Mr. Biya, the almighty Mr. Biya, with as independent or as a single candidate? With the independent candidate, Javis, it is the reason for the rise of independent candidate is in the definition of the word frustration. Cameroonians are frustrated. Maybe they have put their head around the MRC. There's a lot of heat inside. They have put it somewhere around SDF. There's a lot of heat where SDF will tell you that the caution is 30 million. SDF tells you that to become an independent, the national caution is 30 million. They tell you, telling you that if you want to become a presidential an aspirant, you should contribute 50 million. An invitation for CONAC to check something. Something is going wrong there. But I think I'm speaking from the civil society perspective. I'm not a fan of any political party. We still blowers. if you love Cameroonians, if you are patriotic enough, we don't know whether you guys are holding those meetings behind the scenes. Wait for a moment to tell us your decision. But if you cannot swallow that, if you cannot come together under one umbrella, so that we better fight the system, win the system, change the system, and make Cameroon better, all what we're going to be doing is we are going to be chasing the winds.
How do you explain this? That you read messages. If you read 100 messages, 85% of the messages will tell you that, or 90, want a coalition. You go on social media, you post a picture of candidate, they will tell you that you want a coalition. These are people who are voting, who make up the party. Now you come to these party leaders, you tell them that the people are saying, they will tell you that no, you are saying this because you are in the party. How do we reconcile this on them?
No, we cannot reconcile it truly because we are not in the party. We cannot reconcile it truly because we don't feel the heat they claim that they are feeling. We cannot reconcile it because selfishness that exists is already evident. I've given you one example. Put on the platform an opposition candidate and put a CPDM supporter there and put two opposition here. CPDM supporter is going to be singing the praises of his president, how good he is, how he should run again and sit and make this country better. But the oppositions will be looking at them eyeball to eyeball and insulting themselves. One will say this one is the president Eliu, the one is say we are the number one president. Instead of looking at the supporter to tell you that you have failed, we are here to change the system, we are here to change the status quo, they will hold themselves and roast themselves on the platform, showing that there's a lot of division. And politicians need to listen to the voices of the masses. They used to say the voice of the people is the voice of God. So where the people are, Cameroonians are so thirsty. Not only thirsty, they are I don't want to use a hungry. They are famished for change, and they are willing that Cameroon change. But the opposition, the highest opposition exists. That is we call them opposing opposition. Opposition oppose themselves and they want Cameroon change. It is pathetic. Unfortunately, I'm not a political scientist and I'm not a politician to understand maybe the differences that keeps them apart. But if 10 or 5 political parties and bury their differences, I wonder how they are going to be able to bury the 300 plus differences that exist in this country.
Thank you. Moving now to the next topic, which is looking at the closure of churches. Briefly, you have something to say about this?
Yeah. Not so much what I want to say, and I think that as said, it is high time for this political party to shun their selfishness, because what we see as politicians or as civil society, we see just selfishness in their motives to want to be president. If they can drop all of this and then come together and form a force. Luckily enough, somebody like Professor Maurice Kamto was there during the Youth for Change. He has experience in all of this. Even Akere Munad, all of these people have experience in all of this. Why can they not revitalize this spirit of the two and then bring it to 2025 and see how Cameroonians would support? I bet you if these people come together and then declare somebody or form a coalition, the kind of change that will go in the minds of Cameroonians, you see the movement, you see the interest that many people want to register and vote. But if it is just this divided opposition, I bet you it will be difficult for Cameroon to change. And it is our hope that 60 years plus regime that has been placed at least give way for maybe new, fresh ideas, fresh people to come in and then lead the nation ahead. If not, we'll see continue in this very system for another 40 years to come.
The next topic is the closure of churches as far as that is concerned. And now the deadline that was given by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, it was February. February has come and gone. Churches, the government closure of these churches. Many argue that this closure is an infringement of religious freedom of others. Some of the opinion that this is to curb the proliferation of these that actually are not doing what they are supposed to do, that deviated from their rule. Nick Anu, your reaction to this? Are you okay with this closure?
I'm very much okay with the closure of clandestine churches. Of course, the government is not using churches for churches. They are very clear in what they are doing, closing unauthorized churches. I think they gave them time for them maybe to apply for authorization or to regularize their situation and then be authorized to form. And the deadline has come and passed, and implementation, they have started implementation maybe in the first week. We expect the full implementation in the national territory. It should not just be kind of a selective something. If you want to implement the decision of be some order, there has to be a rule of law. You must not form a church to say you are a Christian or to be a worshipper of God. You must not form a church. Most of these things we see that are just individualism and wanting to be independent, because most of these churches are factions that are break away from other mushroom churches to want to be independent. When you go to most of these churches, their membership is not up to 10. When you go to there, if you want to just go sometimes within the week when they are making this noise, go there and see what the main members of those churches are not up to 10 or 15 or even 20, but they will make the loudest noise in the quarters. And we cannot continue to function in this manner. Nobody is against the fact that there's religious freedom as enshrined in the 1990 laws. There's freedom of worship, but freedom is within the law. Freedom is not free. Freedom is within the law. Freedom has guidelines. You cannot just be free to do anything, but there are laws that govern what you are free to do, and in as much as you are free to worship God in whatever way you want, it is also my right to enjoy some peace and tranquility in my quarter also, and some serenity in my quarter also. So where your rights or where your freedom ends, maybe that's when somebody's own rights begin, and so on. And so the role of the state is like a mediator to mitigate within these two factions, to make sure that there's peace and tranquility within the nation.
Okay. Your reaction to the close down or the closure of unauthorized churches. Shouldn't the government also look at some of the authorized churches too?
Authorized churches, in terms of the decision for now, is authorization. So the action of the GO of Yaoundé is based on authorization, which means that your question to those that are authorized is another topic, because they have activities that are also not acceptable. But this one on authorization, the minister was very clear. It is to put order in the field. You see, so that some quacks should not come into the field. You know that there are people who have opened churches who have not even gone through training as a pastor. There are some of them who are pastors, but they don't have authorization. This one was to bring order into the field, which many of these clergies are okay with the decision. They accept it. But now, there's another thing that I want to bring in. My personal feeling is that Cameroonians are celebrating this decision. They are instead celebrating the closure of churches. Let me point out, just like Mr. Nick was saying from here, I don't know. What will happen if these churches go through authorization, and it still happens that within your neighborhood, around your house, you still have up to 5 churches that are making that noise. So my problem is that Cameroon today, where we are today, if you see the kind of evil that we have in Cameroon today, you need the word God to be entering your ear, even in the toilet, even in your bedroom, everywhere you are, you need to hear, because it is that singing that try to bring some people from their evil activities. You see me right? So you notice that there are other let me say businesses that create this very noise. We are talking about bars. We have bars that play music even more than the churches. Some churches, I can even say that is in the day, but there are bars that play throughout the night. You don't really see I don't see Cameroonians reacting the same way they react against churches. You see, we even have these witch doctors who operate in the night. And you know that an establishment that operates in the night is a very dangerous thing. Some of them even give charm to women to make their husband fools. You see, those are certain things that are instead being, people live from bars in the night, they urinate everywhere on the street. Some if they defecate on the street, those are the consequences of
those who are living beside these bars.
Those who are living beside the bar. Sometimes there was a time. This wrong point we call earth around the Nongla, say like that. There was a time that people decided this separation in the middle of the road. When you during every morning when you come in the morning, every morning when you pass there, the road was completely wet. You would think that maybe rain was falling there because people choose that separation in the middle. They come out of those bars, they come and stand and urinate on that separation. It begin to go. So those are some of the negative consequences that we get from things like bar, which I believe that we could have put our energy to stop things like that, because that one is putting people, is nuisance to people. But some Cameroonians are instead focusing in the name of churches, which I don't really see it. I believe that now, even the kind of political atmosphere that we are living in today, it needs God's intervention. If beside that, the minister's decision was very okay and the deal is just implementing. But my problem here is the mentality of Cameroonians. And having churches everywhere is not, to me, is not a problem. There was a topic when I was following a topic in one radio station. They were asking a question whether religious songs should be played in nightclubs and the other drinking. My contribution was yes. The word of God needs to be everywhere. It should be like the mosquito that sounds in your ear until you listen to what the person is about to say, because that is what brings peace in the country. Do you know that these people, the level that they bring peace within individuals, it cannot be measured. If you just believe that these men of God were not existing, I don't think that will.
How do you understand that?
Let me land before you ask the next question. If men of God were not existing, I will not count the number of people that will always commit suicide because of frustration. Okay. Today you can see somebody moving on the street, very proud. He has nothing, very proud, because the man of God has made him to say that even though you have nothing, that man driving in a Prado, he's not better than you. So they have their role that they play in the society. They should not be put in the position of nuisance. No.
Briefly, you are talking about the fact that without some of these churches, crime rate would have increased. But how do you explain the fact that the more the churches, the more the crime rate? Because if you look at the 90s and also in our traditional African society that we had just of the traditional issues, we didn't have this kind of crime rate.
Javi, let me answer you. Let me just give you the answer. The more the churches, the more the crime rate, the more the population is increasing. And remember that if the government takes a decision and you don't obey it, you are going to be arrested. The government has the power. But the churches do not have any sanction. They continue giving you the word until they soften your heart to accept what they are saying. They don't have, on the other hand, they don't have any authority. They just have the word, they deliver the message. So we cannot say that that increase, yes, what you have said is true. There's increase in crime waves, but we cannot put that crime wave, we cannot put it on churches, that churches are existing and there are a lot of crime. No, the population is increasing. Okay. And the churches do not have that power to sanction and so on.
So Derek, your reaction about this closure of unauthorized churches. Should the government, what next? Or is it, after this, should we now move to the activities of some of these authorized churches? How do you explain the fact that Christians contribute money to build schools and these Christians can't send their children to these schools and they clearly say it is our school?
I'm looking at the time and this topic. Well, Javis,
you have time.
Yes, we cannot belittle the role that the church plays in terms of bringing morality and sanity to mankind. We will not belittle it, in as much as we understand that there are charlatans. There's a lot of charlatanism. There is a lot of fake persons who have intruded, which is scriptural, because the Bible makes it clear that during the last days we're going to have wolves in sheep's clothing. We equally understand that the government, in its authority, has to find way to fix, to make and not break the country. And how many months just after the announcement?
I think that should be 1 month.
Yeah, 2 months, 1 or 2 months after announcement.
Given the deadline.
In one division, 188 churches are closed. Javis, I want to be as objective as possible. One of our problems we have in Africa could be the multiplicity of churches. But it is not one of our greatest problems. One of our greatest problems we have is leadership and leadership corruption. 2019 COVID announcement. 5 years after, 6 years after, who has been brought to book?
Bags of rice that were given.
I just want to be as objective as possible. Who has been brought to book since 2019 of the COVID gate? AFCON scandal. How many years after? I think the same energy the government is using to close down the churches, which I'm not questioning their right to close unauthorized churches, they should use this same energy to fight on accountability. They should use this same energy to fight corruption, embezzlement. They should use this same energy to fight unemployment. We are going to go far. If 1 month after we have 188 churches closed in one single division. But then, Javis, I want to be very sincere and somewhere to be blunt. I want to be blunt. The church has its roles, but the multiplicity of these churches sometimes spark enmity, not between those who go to church and those who don't go to church, but between the church themselves and other churches. So there is a drift from Christianity to churchianity. Instead of talking Christ, I was talking with somebody yesterday, and the person kept insisting, which church do you attend? Which church? I said, please, I'm a Christian, and that's enough for you to understand that I'm a Christian. But the fact that you want to push it through to which church you attend means that we are no longer talking about the same thing. I have attended mass, and a reverend father calls another church a mushroom church, which to me, I'm not very okay with it. Unlike, if I attended another church and the church calls the Catholic church occultic church, I've listened to people talk about that. To think that when you see the church multiplying, you instead see Christians divided among others. I want to tell you, if you are called somewhere to pray, and you say, let us pray in the name of the Father, somebody say that person not go pray fine. Until you pray and then you start speaking in tongues, and you start fooling somebody that makepe misoke, and then you feel like, no, this man is filled with the Holy Spirit. So yeah, so Javis, the Bible puts it, I'm not a Bible scholar anyway, that the Spirit of God is not the author of confusion. But where you have confusion now is in churches more than out of the churches. Muslim who lives in the north and the Muslim who lives the south, if they meet at Fangudron Bange and it's prayer time, I want to tell you that they will sit down together, pray together, eat together, get up and greet themselves before going. But it's not the same with Christians. A Christian will meet you, and the first thing they want to ask you, what will be the name for your church? Which church? Who is your pastor? And all those things. So are you a believer? That was a word I was receiving continuously, and they tend to tell you that, believer, Christianity, or whatever. So Javis, let the government do what is important for them to do to maintain peace and tranquility. But I do not think that the multiplicity of the churches has created more problem than bad leadership, has created more problem than embezzlement and corruption. Although, when we look at the situation, Africans, we are told that whites brought Christianity to Africa. But the way we have swallowed, in history books, we were told that that when the white man came to Africa, we had our land and they had the Bible. And when they asked us to pray, at the end of the prayers, we opened our eyes, they had the land, and we had the Bible. How many times do you see the Western world in church? How many hours do they spend praying? You see them 2 hours after church, they are good. But in Africa, we can spend the whole night. We can spend the whole week.
The whole week. We
have Monday
service.
We have midweek Wednesday. Midweek, yes.
Tuesday you have Bible studies. Wednesday you have midweek service. Friday you have Friday night, all night. Then Saturday you have now deliverance. For Sunday
you have all day in church. Like I said, Javis, we will not belittle the role of the church. Everything we have, there is a use and there is an abuse. The church is there at our service for us to use the availability, because God blesses people. But the church, that same church that is there for our use, when you use it wrongly, you have abused it. For instance, if you want to count how many rich people in the world, the Bill Gates, the Elon Musk, the Dangote, they go to church, but they don't spend all their time thinking that the miracle that occurred was because they were praying all night. What they do is, the Bible says God will bless the works of your hands, meaning that there is something you need to do for God to bless you. Not that you have to pray all night, pray all week, pray all day, and have midnight, sleepless night before God blesses you. It is when you do something and God blesses you. So, let the government do what they have to do. But the government should understand that the bigger problem is not sleeping in the churches. The bigger problem is sleeping in poor leadership, mismanagement, embezzlement, corruption, and siphoning of our currency, where government officials will embezzle and invest out of the country. I want to tell you, Javis, and I did this analysis before, that if somebody embezzle 1 billion in this country, that 1 billion is enough to raise a fake pastor somewhere. I'm not saying that the 1 billion will be given to that man of God to open a church, but because of frustration. And if we do the mathematics of embezzlement, there is I don't know whether it's a famous man's son in this country who was after court judgment, it was proven that he embezzled 12 billion in a Cameco scandal. The Camecos, I don't know whether it's a Fotso or so. If yes, Fotso, who embezzled 12 billion. Where is he, Javis? No, he's not in prison. He got sick and the government supported him to be given out. He was taken out of to Morocco for sickness. Javis, 1 billion, I have said 1 billion. If somebody has embezzled 1 billion in this country, it means that person can spend 1.2 million every month for at least 70 years without working. Imagine somebody who embezzles 12 billion. It means every month the person can go to the bank, withdraw 12 billion and eat for nothing, chop it for nothing, and will spend 70 years chopping that money with that money in the bank sitting. Just imagine when they tell you that another person who is in prison has embezzled 95 billion and that money is nowhere to be found. So we have bigger problems. We have bigger problems that if we solve.
My question now to you is also, somewhere we are out of time. Question now to you is, what should be the next move from the government after this unauthorized churches?
Yes, you asked a question. Sorry, I didn't get to you to tell you about the authorized whatever.
Yeah, the authorized churches.
There is an easier way. There is an easier way to do this thing.
Like
if accountability. If the government feel like some churches are unauthorized, it means that all authorized churches have a list somewhere.
Yes.
The government should just publish us first, the authorized churches first. It's easier to go that way, so that you who is operating and sees that your name is not in the list of those that have authorized, you find ways to carry out authorization. With the mainstream churches, so they call, it's a little more sad, where you raised it that churches, Christians will contribute and build schools, but none of the Christians' child will be there. The schools will be populated by ministers' children. The school will be populated by those who have money. And I think it is true that there should be accountability, because money circulates in the church, and the churches by nature were supposed, the Bible says, in those days, the Christians, they sold what they had and then came and ate together. They communed together. But the church today is more of project A, project B, project C. The accountability is limited. Not to say it's not a profit-making organization, but I think the churches need to improve their accounting system. They need to improve their accountability, where Christians know that this Sunday they have contributed 1 million, and the next month this 1 million has been used for this project. And if it has been used for this project and it's an income generating activity, we know that after 1 year, this project has generated us 2 million, and out of this 2 million we have paid this bill, and we have sent 10 children of underprivileged to this school to become this. We have sent these children out of the country to learn these skills, and this is what, and then they follow it up for the children to bring back, because the church is one place that should train leadership that is accountable. Okay. And if the church in itself is not accountable, we don't know where else that we expect this accountability. Although there is no school and there is no place for honesty. Honesty, integrity starts from home. There is no school where you are going to get a PhD or a degree for your honesty.
Thank you very much, Nick, and for coming. We're out of time.
Thank you for having me. My last word is just that after the churches, the government should focus on bars. I know bars have authorization to function, but many of these people, they don't respect the kind of authorization they give them. Many of them, they are supposed to be off licenses. So mean they're not supposed to operate to a certain time, after a certain time, but we don't see this being respected. We instead see most of the time, you see military or the gendarmes and police officers, they move above this time around these bars, they collect small something and then pass and then allow the noise to continue. So I think after this, they should put some sanity in this sector. And even though we know the beer industry in Cameroon is a kind of a social drug that is used to make Cameroonians to be too docile, so that they don't see the leadership failure as Mr. Derry was talking about.
Thank you for coming.
All right. Thank you, Javis. My last message will go to the Christians. A Christian should understand that God created you with your knowledge, plus the knowledge you acquire in school, before taking what the man of God is telling you. You should not go to church and surrender your spirit to a pastor, thinking that the pastor will give you everything. Those are the kind of people who end up abusing the church. So the pastor is in his office. You should not take your time from Monday to Friday going to church. But the pastor in his office, he is doing his work. People come there with different objectives. So yes, and then one last thing that I would like to say, maybe a bit out of time. 1 second, Javis. There's this law in Cameroon that prohibits individuals from carrying a project, maybe a road project, to help Cameroonians. It's a curse. The person who brought that law, the law, I'm saying back to the sender, that you have money, you cannot arrange a road in your quarter for your neighbors to enjoy. The person that brought this curse should withdraw. I don't know the law.
There were reasons advanced by the state. I believe that if you don't want,
if somebody can prejudice, you are taken to court.
But if you don't want it,
you cannot feed people. Another person feed the people. You become jealous.
Yeah, but that's why there's a parliamentary election.
No, but Javis, do you know that there are countries that do not respect that law, and they are far more developed than people tar a kilometer.
You cannot say that we should disrespect a law. I don't think so.
No, I'm saying it's a law. It's a law. It's a law, but it's a curse. I call it a curse. The person who brought this curse, I reverse the curse to the person.
We should instead throw it to the parliamentarians.
Yes.
The mass session is coming up.
Yeah, we should throw it to the
parliamentarians can maybe repeat that particular.
Thank you. I prefer it like that.
I think continuing the curse is the service now.
Thank you very much, Javis, for having me. Once Cameroonians stop drinking, they'll start thinking. So let us stop over drinking and start thinking, rethinking and reshaping our country. For the churches, please, we have no attack on church. We want to say that the system is bad, but the leaders come to one or two of our churches. The system is bad, the leadership is in the church. So let us think what is wrong, and we don't have any attack on churches. Let the government use the same energy that they are using to crack down unauthorized churches, to crack down embezzlement, corruption, siphoning and stealing of our state funds, and then increase the rate of accountability. I think Cameroon is our country to build, and we must build it as a collective form and as a collective block. For opposition, stop opposing yourself, oppose the system, bring in a new system. Let's join together and make Cameroon great again.
Thank you very much, Song Derek. I want to thank the technical team. I want to also thank you, Mr. Nyam Robert, for your assistance. Also want to thank all those of you who have been watching us. I want to wish you one more Micah. We're celebrating the birthday tomorrow Monday. Happy birthday, many more years to you. God should continue to guide and protect you. And all those of you who have been our faithful viewers, hopefully we are going to organize a political debate, the first presidential debate, hopefully next week, with the independent candidates to come, and there's a sort of a primaries for you to see what they have to offer. Again, you have the opportunity to ask a question, to ask them questions. This program will be broadcast today 10:30 p.m. and I leave you this: no matter the matter, what matters is your matter. What should matter for you? Go get your electorate, your election card, get ready. Let us see how we can exercise our right as voters to vote. My name is Tah Mai Javis, Cameroon's commercial capital, Douala. Thank you, John. Until we meet again, stay out of trouble. Bye-bye.